Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about people's fear of investing, right? And the reason I wanted to make this video is because, as always, with a new HSR beta, there's a lot of opinions and doom posting floating around. And I'm not someone who likes using doom posting in the buzzword way. I mean it in the literal way of like, these people are saying these units are absolutely doomed, their future is doomed, their current performance is not good enough, and there's no way there's going to last and that they're bricked in the meta already. Right. And there's one specific part of these mains that I struggle to try and understand, being the Gilgamesh mains. Now, here's the funniest part. Gilga got the best changes of any character from the most recent V3 because it made his viability outside of a Saber team and a full Fua team significantly better. He can now only use Emblade, no Ashvale, and he still gets incredibly good main DPS clears. And then of course you get Ashvale plus Emblade for that entire best in slot team in the synergies. However, that is not necessary. Once again, even without Ashvale and just Emblade, the performance is quite high and good, right? However, what I've seen is that people are complaining about the fact that Avin, who is going to be the dedicated deep DPS for this follow-up team, releasing invalidates his value and how good he is with Emblade and Ashvale, right? Now, in my opinion, this way of thinking is incredibly dumb. If you really like a specific character, are you seriously not going to use them in an incredibly potent team just because there's going to be a new DPS who is stronger than him? Yes. However, that's a character that you don't care about as much in comparison to a character you've been highly anticipating. Not only this, but I feel like something that a lot of people don't really factor in here, Gilga is free, right? He costs you absolutely nothing. The reason I like to bring this up is because the entire Gilga follow-up team massively benefits from not only E1 Gilga, but as well the E2 Emblade. Because with E2 Emblade, ultimate damage now counts as follow-up damage. Follow-up damage gets a 75% increase, and Blade only requires 7 stacks for his follow-up instead of the old 9. Higher attack frequency means that Blade is able to get his ult more often, and it also means that Gilga is able to trigger his action advance more often. However, not only this, it highly synergizes with Gilgamesh's ultimate. With his ultimate damage now counting as follow-up damage, it double dips and also receives the follow-up buffs that are in Ashvale's base kit, right? So he goes from being a nuke to being a planet-busting destroyer when you get E2 Emblade. And because he's free, this is technically not as expensive as it sounds, especially when you're trying to compare it to, let's say, a full E0 S1 Avin premium team. Yes, Avin might be stronger than Gilga, but if you sacrifice just one more cost in comparison to the Avin team to prioritize getting E2 Emblade alongside Gilga and Ashvale, it will likely be on a similar level to that Avin team. That's all you need to sacrifice, one cost in comparison to the Avin team. But for some reason, it seems like a ton of people don't think of this. Maybe they're scared of doing it, they're scared of investing in him, they don't know if it's worth it. I don't understand this mindset. If you like a specific character and they have the viability to be incredibly potent against endgame content with a decently synergistic team, are you seriously going to shaft them just because there's a better DPS that's going to exist soon, even if you can make up for that difference? It's insane to me, right? Why do people care this much about another character being slightly or noticeably better even maybe. But cost for cost, considering Gilga is free, it's not actually as much of a wipe as it sounds. Just invest in the characters that you like, right? Like, I've been doing this for so long. Anoxa is pretty butt cheeks in terms of his Eidolon investment, and he was definitely one of the weaker Chrysos heirs before Cyrene ever came out. I got my investment on Anoxa pre ever knowing that Cyrene would massively buff him. I just hit the jackpot on the side. I also invested into My Day on a very old account that I don't really play on actively anymore. I've also invested highly into Faye. I've invested highly into Silverwolf, despite many people complaining about her flaws and how her damage output isn't the best currently. Keep in mind, a Ashe, Emblade, and Gilga team in like sustain or sustainless, whatever you choose, is highly competitive with Silverwolf, right? Like, they are highly competitive, and in sustainless, they are stronger. Yet I still choose to vertically invest into my Silverwolf team to make sure that they can keep up, because even if they aren't the most meta choice like Himeko or E2 Evanescia, the reality is that's a character I like to have fun and play with, and that's the character that I really want to invest in to make them last as long as possible. You guys let me know your thoughts down in my comments. Do you think I may be trying to project my way of playing and thinking about playing the game onto others, and I'm not fully understanding of the situation? I truthfully just don't get it, right? People can't even use the like, oh, you don't understand it because you spent money on your accounts. This is a purely free-to-play account that I have been maintaining for basically over a year at this point, and has been running the same 2 DPSs for that entire time span. It's only now that I may possibly finally invest into Himeko, because my Sunday is going to be a sitting duck otherwise, and I'm soon going to completely finish investing into my Anoxa and finish completely investing into my Archer. So there's no point in me investing into them any longer unless they suddenly get some surprise upgrades down the line. But with all that said, I am a Gilga puller. I will be pulling Gilga over Avon on my Phanon account for the follow-up team. Not because it's optimal, but because I find Gilga to be a lot cooler in my opinion. His ult is incredibly sick, he has some decent early Eidolon investment, and he's given for free at base, which makes it a lot more accessible. For example, if I wanted to pull for Avon, it would make pulling E2 Emblade on his rerun significantly more difficult for me. However, this isn't the case with Gilga, since he's already being given for free. I can guarantee E2 Emblade by the next time he reruns, and the team will be able to highly benefit from that. Love you all. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and peace out.